What's going on there, friends and neighbors? I am Rob Reviews, and as per usual on every Wednesday, I just got done watching the newest episode of The X-Files from Season 11. This was Episode 9, as titled Nothing Lasts Forever. The episode has a tagline of I Want to Be Beautiful, obviously a little spin of I Want to Believe, and this episode was different. Now, coming off of the last two episodes, of course, I had crazy expectations for this episode, and from the moment the preview came out at the end of last week's episode, I was a little about this episode. But I'll get more into that after I do my little summary. So this episode opens up in a surgery room, and we see surgeons or doctors or both harvesting organs from this dead body that's still alive, but is eventually, dead. We cut back to the roof of the building where this is taking place, and we see this girl with greasy hair looking like a total badass. She says a prayer before she sneaks into this building. Upon sneaking in, she takes out a henchman and one of the doctors. The other doctor gets away with the organs that they harvested. The doctor who got away climbs into a van, and the organs are left in front of a hospital in one of those lunch boxes that keep things cold very well. We then see Dana Scully at church receiving her communion. After she sips on the blood of Christ, the holy scissor, she is called to the scene of the crime with our boy, Fox Mulder. The cops, as per usual, are very aware of Mulder and Scully's track record with being called in on certain cases, and Mulder basically breaks out his Hammer horror knowledge and scares the other cops away, which I found to be a very funny and awesome scene in and of itself. Oh, and Mulder has glasses now. He looks rather fetching with glasses, I must say. The scene then cuts to a woman drinking the glass end of a blender that is filled with organ bits and blood. You then see the woman bringing it over to a man that is lying down, and he sips on the bloody scissor himself. And as the camera goes in, we see that there are multitudes of people in this apartment lying down on mattresses, embracing each other. It looks like a sex cult, essentially. Then we go to another room. We see an older gentleman who is attached at the back to a younger lady. He gets up and comments on an episode of an old TV show that he's seen thousands of times. The woman on the opposite bed, Barbara, the main villain, I guess you could say, of this episode, is reciting lines from the episode word for word perfectly. And that is where I will end off the little summary. This episode, while different and interesting at the same time, it definitely falls by the wayside when compared to the last two episodes that we've seen. Yes, it is interesting. Yes, it does have some very good and very eerie moments and such, but something about it just really didn't interest me. I mean, the entire time I was watching this episode, I thought, okay, these people are probably vampires, and this chick running around stabbing them through the heart with fence posts from a church is probably a vampire slayer. Maybe we'll get a weird twist on a female Van Helsing or something like that, but that's not the case. Parts of this episode were kind of boring. Don't get me wrong, there was a few moments in this episode where I did tense up, but overall I do feel this episode was somewhat a step backward, especially when we got two great episodes like episode 7 and episode 8, especially episode 8 and 7. I'm going to give episode 9, Nothing Lasts Forever, a 3.5 out of 5. You all know what's up next. It's time to talk about some of my favorite moments from this episode. So there's a lot of scenes in this episode with Scully and Mulder in church. This has a lot to do with the episode's story, because the girl that's going around staking people through the heart, she's extremely religious, her mother's extremely religious, and Scully actually reveals when she started believing in God. And I found that to be a very interesting scene because we've been seeing Mulder and Scully getting much more closer throughout this season. But for Scully to share the story that she did with Mulder and the reasons why of her believing in a God and such, I found that it was a very good, tender moment between the two. Another one of my favorite scenes from this episode is when Barbara cuts the younger girl off of her boyfriend's back. I don't know what this guy is to her. But one line that really creeped me out during that whole moment is Barbara saying, "Well, my ugly duckling, prepare to be beautiful." She slits her throat, rips her off of her boyfriend's back, and it was just genuinely a creepy scene. But I must say, the woman that they got to play Barbara, she nailed her character perfectly. There is an uneasiness about her from the very beginning, even when she's just harmlessly reciting lines to a TV show. Something about her just seems a little bit off. And when she's giving this speech and cutting this woman's throat and she's just surrounded by this really old, dank-looking apartment, I gotta say, it reminded me a lot of the BioShock. And that was extremely unexpected, but it was really, really cool. Another scene with Barbara, and most of my favorite scenes from this episode are with Barbara, is when she reveals that she sang a song on the Sonny and Cher show in 1969. This woman doesn't look a day over 30. What the fluck? A boy that is a member of what we find out to be a youth cult offers himself to her, saying, "As long as I am inside you, I will be happy." This is when she breaks out into her story and then she starts singing. The boy stabs himself and the rest of the cultees go over to the boy's body, rip his organs out, and they make Dinny, which is what we saw one of the members drinking earlier on in the episode. Apparently, organs and blood and all that inside good stuff is the key to looking beautiful for the rest of your life. Yikes. But yes, that scene with Barbara singing, it was definitely weird. And it was really creepy, and again, the BioShock feels. Ooh, another one of my favorite scenes is when the main girl that's going around staking these people, I don't remember her name, I really don't. I don't even know if her name was even spoken in this episode. Her sister is being surgically attached to Barbara's dude friend. It was a weird scene. They're implanting something into her back, and there's something in his back, and they're attached together, and the doctor sews them up and everything. It was a pretty gross scene, even though you don't see too much. But it's got a Saw feel to it. Body horror, if you will. Something I definitely wasn't expecting to see in this episode. Now, my favorite scene is when Mulder and Scully meet Barbara for the first time. Her apartment is very dark. The only lighting that you really get are some very dim bulbs and Mulder and Scully's flashlights. And something about her being very darkly lit, the way that her eyes were big and widened, the way that she was talking about herself, the way that she reacted to Olivia's home photo on Scully's phone. Oh my god, this woman who played Barbara, I'm tipping my imaginary hat to you because you were just fantastic. You were creepy. You were great. If there is a BioShock movie, I hope you play like a lead female splicer or something because I could totally see you nailing that. But as Barbara's freaking out over seeing Olivia before she got her into the cultees come in and they push Scully down the dumbwaiter chute or the garbage chute, whatever you want to call it. Olivia's sister, the Heartstaker, runs in and kills Barbara. Sad times. Mulder runs into Barbara's boyfriend and Olivia. Mulder rescues Scully from the stinky garbage chute. And just like that, the case is pretty much over. Earlier in the episode, we see the girl's mother praying for her daughter Olivia. And by the end of the episode, we actually seeing the girl's mother praying for her now that Olivia's home. There is a scene where the girl says, "I don't care if I go to jail or whatever. I did it to save my sister," stuff about heaven and Christ and all that. But the best scene between Mulder and Scully is right at the end. Scully is about to light her prayer candle and it immediately goes out. Mulder steps in and lights the candle for her, and the two share a very touching and tender moment. Mulder saying things along the lines of, "I don't know if there's a God out there hearing, but I am standing right here and I will always be here." Really sweet stuff. Scully then leans in and whispers something into Mulder's ear, and the last thing that is spoken in this episode before we see the preview for the next episode is Mulder saying, "I always wondered how this was gonna end." What the fluck, dude? What did Scully say to him? So yeah, those are my favorite scenes from the episode. There were some great moments in this episode, but at the same time, I kind of struggled to really care about other things that were going on. Mulder and Scully, as per usual, were fantastic. The actress who played Barbara was fantastic. It's just the story overall I really didn't care for too much. The girl that's going around staking all these people, I don't even remember her name. I didn't find her too much of a compelling character, but she did some cool stuff. But now let's talk about the preview for the finale of season 11. We see William running away. We see Mulder chasing after him. We see Mulder and the Smoking Man facing each other. Mulder saying, "I don't think you have the guts to do it," and Smoking Man saying something like, "Try me," and you hear a gun being shot. What is going to happen in this finale? How is it going to happen? Is this going to tie tie everything up in the X-Files series, or will there be more after this? This is going to be a hard episode to watch next week because it's the finale. It's crazy just how quick these 9 episodes have flew past us all, and now we are sitting at the doors of the end of the X-Files. I personally think that there is going to be an open ending at the end of this episode, and I think we might get a 3rd movie. But that is just me hoping and dreaming out loud because I really want the X-Files franchise to end off with a 3rd and final movie. I highly doubt they're going to be able to close everything off about William, about the aliens, about the smoking man in just an hour. But then again, they manage to do it every week, so I might be wrong. But anyway, those are my thoughts and opinions on the X-Files Episode 9, Nothing Lasts Forever. Please comment down below. Tell me how you felt about this new episode. Tell me how you feel about the finale next week. And we will have a nice little discussion as we usually do. I have been Rob Reviews. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all next Wednesday. Bye, everybody.